and I would like to declare the September 13, 2012 public meeting of the New York City Campaign Finance Board in session. We have minutes from our August 9th meeting that have been distributed in advance. Do I hear any corrections? If not, a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The chair does not have a report. Amy?
I have a couple of things to report. First, as everyone knows, today is primary election day, so I hope everyone goes out and votes. Also, I hope everyone takes the opportunity to take our voter pledge, which you can find on our website, which will sign you up to get reminders about important date deadlines for voting. Also, September 25th is National Voter Registration Day. It's a national organization that is encouraging voter registration across the country. NYPIRG is the New York City coordinator. We are participating with many partners, and in particular, we're having a youth voter jam at Lehman College on Tuesday, September 25th. Here is the materials if people are interested. Everyone is invited. Hot 97 will provide live music and performances, and Schools Chancellor Dennis Walcott will be speaking at that event. Also for the primary, we have an online voter guide that gives information about the candidates who are running for state offices across the city. I hope everyone looks at that. Shows online resources available for each of those, like their websites and their Facebook pages and Twitter feeds. Also, we will have the first disclosure statement for the special election in the Bronx, which will occur. The disclosure statement will occur be due on October 5th. That election is going to occur at the general election. And finally, it gives me great pleasure to announce our quarterly staff recognition award. This quarter, our recognition is Rhonda Gaskins. She's standing in the back. Rhonda is the Chief of Document Processing, and she is responsible for taking the massive volumes of paper that come into the office and scanning them and indexing them into our electronic records system so that everyone in the office can see them. And she's a great worker and has a great attitude, and we're really pleased to honor her in this way.
Thank you very much, Amy. We have two candidate appearances scheduled for this morning. First of all, Mr. Chandra, here. Please come forward.
Good morning.
Good morning and welcome. If you could please introduce yourself for the record.
My name is Ashok Chandra. I'm here on behalf of my campaign. I ran for City Council, District 4 in 2009.
Thank you very much.
And what will happen, Mr. Chandra, is that our counsel, Bethany Persky, will give a brief summary of the issues for the board, and then you'll have an opportunity to respond. We have another candidate who's appearing after you. Then the board will go into executive session to deliberate. Then they will come back out into public session to vote on your penalties and for you and for many other candidates. And you are welcome to wait to hear that vote, or if you need to leave, a member of the staff will call you immediately after the board meeting to let you know what happened.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good morning, Father Parks, Executive Director Lowcrest, members of the board, Mr. Chandra. My name is Bethany Persky, and with me is the auditor, Allison Levy. Before the board is the matter of the Ashok Chandra campaign in the 2009 election for City Council District 4. Mr. Chandra was a participant in the program and received $84,732 in public funds. CFB staff recommends that the board find that the campaign committed 4 violations and assess penalties provided for under the board's tentative guidelines. The violations are accepting a prohibited contribution, failing to comply with subcontractor reporting requirements, failing to document an in-kind contribution, and filing a late response to the draft audit report. The campaign contests one of the alleged violations and penalties. And I'd also like to note that although the board memo calls for a repayment of the bank balance, the auditors have since reviewed it, and there's actually no repayment owed by the campaign, so it's just penalties only.
Thank you very much, Bethany. Mr. Chandra?
Board, thank you. I only contest one of the alleged violations, the filing a late response to the draft audit report. While we did file the response late, there were some intervening issues. My treasurer, who unfortunately cannot be here today, he works for the Board of Elections and is helping with the primaries today. That was bad. He wasn't working at the Board of Elections at the time. I'd like to clarify that. He had a hard drive crash apparently sometime in 2011, and he had a dispute with his old partner, and the computer was at the partner's place of business. While I accept that we did file a late response, I respectfully request a reduction in the penalty.
Was there any, after January 7th, 2011, which was the extended date after the number of extensions, what communication was there from the campaign to the staff until August 23rd?
I believe the final email was before January 7th, when we asked for a 7th extension, and it was denied.
So after, what was said in that request for extension?
We asked for one more period of extension.
Did you say why?
I apologize, my treasurer would know.
I actually have the contact record of it.
Oh, thank you.
And after you didn't get the extension until August 23rd, was there any,
The intervening call in between was the hard drive crash.
was there any communication before?
I don't believe so.
Okay, any questions? Other members of the board? Mr. Chandra?
Was there, sorry, so you, when was the dispute again with his partner? You said he had a dispute with
In
his partner.
2010, he had a dispute. They worked together in Astoria, and then they had a splitting up, and the computer and all the files were at the partner's place of business.
The crash happened before.
Yes. Because I don't believe that Mr. Hornak had the files in his apartment or his office. Yes.
Make sure I'm reading this right. I see January 6th, 2011, Adam. That's right, that person. Kaufman response is done and being put in mail tonight. Chandra, I'm still working on it. It's taking more time. I expect I need a few more days to complete.
The hard drive failure happened in that intervening time.
But
That was on
the last request of January 6th was for a few more days.
Yes. It was in 2011 that the hard drive failed for Mr. Hornak.
And that request was denied, as you can see, in the contact record because the campaign had already been granted 6 extensions at that point.
My point is it wasn't a request for months, it was a request for days.
Correct. We were, also the records indicate that we were never told about the computer issue. It was just a request for more time with no reason given.
Okay, Rich?
I also could point out, our campaign was substantially compliant with most of the NYC CFP rules. We had a total fine beyond the late response of $600. I'd just like that to take into consideration.
Okay.
I'm sorry, just one more thing I'd like to note is that the request in January was for a few days, but the response was actually not sent until August of 2011, which was a total of 228 days late, and that's allowing for the extensions that we're getting.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Mr. Chandra. And we have a second candidate appearance, Mr. Talon. Welcome, gentlemen. Can you please introduce yourselves?
I'm William Talon. I ran for mayor in 2009. I was his treasurer.
I assume you heard how I explained what's going to happen. I have one comment. This is webcast, so if you could either hold the microphone or talk close into it, because sometimes they are hard to get. Thank you.
Good morning, Father Parks, members of the board, Executive Director Lowcrest, Mr. Talon, Mr. Emperor. My name is Danny Frost, counsel for the CFB, and for the board is the matter of the Billy Talon campaign in the 2000 general election for mayor. Before the board are recommended violations for filing disclosure statements late, failing to provide merchant account and bank account statements, failing to provide employment information, accepting an over-the-limit contribution, accepting a corporate contribution, failing to respond to post-election requests for documentation and information, failing to accurately report receipts, and maintaining a cash variance of 78.21%. The campaign did not receive public funds.
Thank you very much. Hans?
Yeah.
Mr. Emperor?
Well, before we begin, I'd like to make 2 requests. One is that whatever decisions are handed down, that Mr. Talon be removed from any legal liability, because all the filings were done by me, and any problems and questions that arise through this were solely my fault, and Mr. Talon had nothing to do with it. So I'd like to take it upon consideration that whatever judgments are made, that it's solely my responsibility. I would also like to ask for an extension for the last 2 items, number 7 and number 8, because we just received those, and on the first initial thing, we had about $13,000 in penalties, and one of them was for a large over-the-limit contribution that we figured out we took care of that. And but when I received the second notification, I was unable to respond because I became very depressed, because I thought we had received, that we had clarified most of the problems. And many of the problems that we see here are due to the fact that right after the campaign ended, actually during the campaign, I fell into a deep depression, and I've been out of work for 2 years, so I've been not responsive to friends or family, much less campaign finance. So that's why the number 1, the filing disclosure statements late, and number 6, failing to respond to post-election requests for documentation and information, were not responded to. As far as failing to provide merchant account and bank account statements, we did respond to most of that from what I had in my files. I would need to do some more work to get some of those things cleared up. And also for the failing to provide employment information, I probably have a lot of that, but I just have not been able to recoup it. The number 4, accepting the over-the-limit contribution, that was Mr. Leland Hamilton, who was $50 over the limit. We did issue him a check, but he never cashed it. I don't have a canceled check showing that it was cashed, so I can't really prove that he cashed it. And accepting a corporate contribution, that was Mr. Bob Holman, who owned the store in the Lower East Side, and he did send us a corporate check that was deposited in error. I saw that it was deposited in error and was going to ask, was going to refund the money and ask him to make another contribution. I thought that actually did happen, but apparently it did not. And then for 7 and 8, I'd have to go through almost file by file what paperwork I have, and it's not in the best of shape. So I would like to, if we could, postpone those 2 until next month's hearing, and I'd be able to provide more paperwork for those 2.
Thank you, Mr. Emperor.
A few items. With regard to the candidate's liability for penalties assessed by the board, the Act and the rules make clear that candidates, treasurers, and committees are jointly and severally liable to pay penalties. It's also something that the candidate agreed to in his certification. With regard to the last 2 violations, I would just point out that CFB staff noticed the campaign for those violations on July 25th. The campaign was given 2 weeks to respond to those additional violations, contacted CFB staff to ask if they indeed needed to respond I advised the campaign that they were welcome to respond, but of course they did not need to. The campaign asked then for an extension to respond until August 15th, which we granted. Finally, just remind the board.
On that last point, why weren't 7 and 8 in the original?
Well, sure, the
Because
campaign.
it doesn't seem like there's stuff that couldn't have been in the original notification.
Well, the campaign failed to respond to the DAR, so as a result, we didn't have.
I'm sorry, the campaign.
The campaign failed to respond to the DAR,
Oh, okay.
so as a result,
Initially.
we didn't have the documentation that would provide a basis for those penalties.
And then we got it.
Yes. And finally, I would just point out that pursuant to Board Rule 702C2, unless specifically notified to the contrary by the board, the opportunity to submit information and documentation described in the enforcement notices shall be the only such opportunity, and any information and documentation that is not timely received by the board may, at the board's sole discretion, be disregarded.
But July 25th was the first time we got notice of 7 and 8.
7, correct.
Any other questions? Okay,
No. Yeah, just okay. So you said, I hope you're doing better refresh my notes. But you had for voluntary disclosure statements late, statement 13 and 14 were during the campaign. Was there an explanation?
Those were filed late. I didn't see that in there. Okay, right, well, October 9th, that's sort of when I started on it.
okay, any other questions?
Your Honor,
Go ahead.
may I make a little
Go ahead.
statement? I would just like to express my gratitude for your work in this political world that we see, the effort to stave off corruption is a laudable one. The Billy Talon campaign was a citizen's cultural campaign against a man who paid more than $100 million into his effort. And that was part of why we ran. We thought, why don't we just see if citizens can do it? And we overwhelmingly were volunteer in all aspects, really. I'm just grateful to Michael Emperor and the Green Party. Michael's taking responsibility for this, and we knew that we were in trouble, that we couldn't contact him. However, it's also true that for all of us, we were in a strange world. I'll never run again for anything. Not to be funny, but that's the kind of campaign it was. A citizens campaign and a one-time thing. Because of the special circumstance in 2009, we felt that the opponent was, I'll say this for the website, we felt that Mike Bloomberg, another Mike, we felt that he was buying the election. And so we're just going to run on our own. So Mike's taking responsibility for what did happen. Depression is a serious issue. I'm grateful to you, Mike, and ask we throw ourselves at the mercy of the court here. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Talon. Thank you, Mr. Emperor. Good health to you in the future. I'd now propose that we move to executive session. Make a motion? So moved. Second. All in favor? Aye. We're back in session, and I would like to turn it over to Amy now for some votes on penalties.
Okay, so I want to point out that, the first candidate is Carlton Berkeley, candidate in the 2009 city council elections. District 9, $40 for filing 2 disclosure statements late, $89 for failing to provide bank statements, $715 for failing to accurately report cash receipts, $715 for failing to accurately report disbursements and receipts, a violation, no penalty for maintaining a petty cash fund greater than $500, $18 for making cash payments greater than $100, $36 for failing to demonstrate that spending was in furtherance of the campaign, $113 for failing to respond to the initial request for documentation, and $113 for failing to respond to the draft audit report, for total penalties of $1,839.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
The next is Carlos Bristol, candidate for City Council District 42 in the 2009 elections. $100 for accepting a contribution from a corporation, $250 for failing to provide bank statements, $100 for failing to demonstrate that spending was in furtherance of the campaign, and $4,116 for failing to respond to the draft audit report, for total penalties of $4,566.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Next, we have Ashok Chandra, candidate for City Council District Number 4 in the 2009 elections. A violation, no penalty for accepting a prohibited contribution, $300 for failing to comply with subcontractor reporting requirements, $50 for failing to document an in-kind contribution, and $5,000 for filing a late response to the draft audit report, for total penalties of $5,350.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Next, we have Sarah Gonzalez, candidate in City Council District Number 38 in the 2009 elections. $250 for accepting 2 corporate contributions, $500 for accepting contributions from unregistered political committees, $350 for filing a disclosure statement 7 days late, $100 for failing to report transactions, $50 for failing to provide signed intermediary affirmation statements, a violation, no penalty for exceeding the expenditure limit, $950 for making improper post-election expenditures, and $2,500 for failing to adequately document transactions, for total penalties of $4,700.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Anthony Herbert, candidate in City Council District Number 41 in the 2009 election. $834 for filing 2 disclosure statements late, $139 for failing to provide bank statements, $1,112 for failing to accurately report cash receipts, $139 for failing to accurately report receipts, $756 for accepting an over-limit contribution, $2,821 for accepting a corporate contribution, and $298 for failing to respond to the draft audit report, for total penalties of $6,099.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Next is Alan Jennings, candidate in City Council District Number 28 for the 2010 B special election. $250 for failing to provide bank statements, $1,000 for failing to accurately report disbursements and receipts, $400 for failing to report employment information for contributions in excess of $99, $150 for failing to document 3 transactions, $195 for maintaining a petty cash fund greater than $500, $50 for making cash payments greater than $100, $224 for failing to respond to the notice of inadequate response to the initial request for documentation, and $224 for failing to respond to the draft audit report, for total penalties of $2,493.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Next, we have Melinda Katz, candidate for comptroller in the 2009 elections. $250 for accepting corporate contributions, $1,250 for accepting contribution for unregistered political committees, $3,846 for using an entity other than the principal committee in furtherance of an election, $1,450 for failing to provide signed intermediary affirmation statements, $100 for failing to comply with subcontractor reporting requirements, $1,000 for accepting over the limit contributions, $69 for failing to demonstrate that spending was in furtherance of the campaign, $250 for failing to respond to questions regarding fundraising events, $100 for failing to respond to questions regarding intermediaries, and $50 for failing to document joint expenditures for total penalties of $8,365.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Prince Louis, candidate in City Council District Number 42 for the 2009 election, $867 for filing 2 disclosure statements late, $650 for failing to file a disclosure statement, $434 for failing to provide bank statements, $1,735 for failing to report expenditures and receipts, $347 for failing to report intermediaries, $295 for maintaining a petty cash fund greater than $500, $237 for failing to adequately respond to the initial document request, and $237 for failing to respond to the draft audit, for total penalties of $4,803.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Calvin Solomon, candidate in City Council District Number 8, 2009 elections, $12 for filing a disclosure statement 1 day late, $375 for failing to file 2 disclosure statements, $250 for failing to provide bank statements, $160 for failing to respond to the initial request for documentation and records, $160 for failing to respond to the draft audit report, for total penalties of $957.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we will have some votes on public funds repayments.
Before I do that, I just wanted to mention that the board has, for the people who failed to respond to the draft audit, has not given the candidates who would have been otherwise been entitled to, under the penalty guidelines, a reduction, pro rata reduction of their penalties, has instead assessed the actual penalty that would have been assessed according to the guidelines, noting the severity of failing to respond to the draft audit or to the audit's request for documentation. And the staff will endeavor to look at the enforcement guidelines for the 2013 election to see whether or not they adequately reflect the severity of that particular violation. Okay. Now going back to the, then I might as well say, since I've interrupted myself. The board also agreed to give Billy Talon an additional 2 weeks to respond to the violations number 7 and 8, and then they will vote on all of the penalties for Mr. Talon at the October meeting, although he will not be given an additional opportunity to appear. He'll be given 2 weeks to respond. Okay. Now the repayments. First is Carlos Bristol, again, candidate in City Council District 42 in the 2009 elections, public funds repayment of $5,610.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sarah Gonzalez, candidate in City Council District Number 38 for the 2009 elections, repayment of $92.64.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No, no, Chuck. And that's it. Yep.
Okay, so now vote on public funds payment.
Payment to Melinda Katz, a candidate for controller in the 2009 election, payment of $22,938, from which her penalties will be withheld, thus making a net payment of $14,573.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And now we'll have a vote to delegate payment authority for the special election.
because the special election payments will be off the board's schedule, the staff is asking the board to delegate to Father Parks the authorization to make those payments, and then they will be confirmed at the next subsequent board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There being no further business, I'm willing to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Thank you, staff.